So you want to be financially free, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how to be financially free by the end of this video. Personally, I define financial freedom as being able to do the things that you want to do. Plain and simple. You could define financial freedom using some numbers, possessions, status, but all those things really vary based on whosoever it is. For example, I personally live in a really small house on the farm, and for me that's perfect. I'm very comfortable with it. Now, with my very small house, I actually have comparatively a much bigger business. I have loads of acres of land, cattle and goats, even land in other areas. But compared to the kind of house that I have, it's really, really small. Now, another person would look at that and they'd be like, you're not financially free because, you have a small possession. But for me, the possession doesn't matter. Why? because I can do the things I want that when I want. If someone comes to me tomorrow and they want to sell a piece of land next to me, I can pay. I have the money to get out of my pocket and pay for it. I'm free. But for another person, that doesn't matter so much. Being able to buy land doesn't matter so much. What for them really matters is the fact that they can sleep in a really big house up in the sky, maybe with a second or a third floor, and they're looking around and they're literally at bird level and they can see birds around. They consider that financial freedom. So in the end, it's about the kind of life that you want. That's what defines financial freedom for you. So whilst for one person it might be $1 million, for another person $100,000 could easily make you financially free. So again, financial freedom is being able to do the kind of things that you do want. And when it comes to the actual basics of having financial freedom, there are two parts. Path number one is making more money, and path number two is lowering your wants or lowering your expectations. Now, we're going to actually start with the second one. Second one is lowering your expectations, your wants, your desires. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Dr. Daniel, what do you mean by lowering my wants? Because if I lower my wants or my expectations, then I'm just stuck. I'm literally not financially free. I've just decided to take my desires down, but I still do have these desires innate in my heart somewhere. So that doesn't make sense to me. Well, I'll tell you something quite interesting. That second bit actually plays such a huge role in influencing how you're going to make more money. And I'll tell you something interesting also. When it does come to financial freedom and wants, in the end, you're going to notice that life and success, and even financial success, is not really about how much money you have, but about how satisfied or fulfilled that you are. With life, all of us are just looking for one thing: satisfaction and fulfillment. That's all we are looking for. That's why you're going to find people with thousands and millions of dollars and they're still not happy. They're still working so hard. They're still looking around. They can't sleep in their houses. They're tormented by the fact that, they're only worth $2 million. They're not worth $10 million. They can't play with their children. They're not happy. They're completely not happy. They are consistently looking for more money. That person is not financially free. They're not. Once they're living in their house, they feel like something is knocking on their door, telling them, go wake up, go make more money, go do this, go do this. They're not financially free. So in the end, the biggest definition and the biggest determinant of financial freedom is actually understanding what you actually want. A lot of people find financial freedom in material things. Now, I'm not trying to say that material things are not important. They are very important. That's why we're talking about point number two. That's why I talked about a farm, for example. Whilst for me, a very big house might not be, something that makes a lot of sense for me, the farm and the business make a lot of sense for me, and that's still some form of material possession. I'm running a business. In the end, it's about making money. So the first thing you have to realize is that your wants actually define your fulfillment. Plain and simple. If you sit down and realize that some of the things you actually want don't really matter to you, then you're going to stop chasing those things and you're going to realize that you're so much happier. I'm going to use myself as an example once again. Initially, when I was much younger, a few years back, I wanted to own a car. I kept thinking to myself, the day I own a car, I'm going to be so happy, I'm going to be so fulfilled, I'm going to have everything that I need in life. And I got a car, my very first car. And then after I got the car, a few days later, maybe not days, a few weeks or months later, I wanted another car. Now I wanted a vintage car. I went and bought the vintage car. After getting the vintage car, guys, I drive that vintage car up to now. I still drive it like once or twice or maybe 3 times a month. Nothing more than that. Most of the time it's packed. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, if I do get a truck, a pickup truck, which I can utilize on the farm, I will be happy. I'll be fulfilled. I won't need anything else. I got one. After that, I wanted another vehicle. I now wanted the Land Rover Defender. I now wanted the Raptor. And then that's when I actually realized, like, I finally snapped out of my head that I actually will never stop wanting things. Yeah. So I was like, it doesn't matter how many cars that I do get, I'll want another one, and I'll want another one, and I'll want another one. So what did I tell myself? I told myself that, okay, that's enough. It doesn't matter how many cars I want. Even if I get all of them, I still will want another one, and I can't get all the cars on earth. I was like, cool. Right now, let me focus on the things that I actually desire and want. And you know, from that moment, I actually became happy with the vehicles that I have. Now I find a lot of fulfillment in them. It's not like I'm trying to look for some fulfillment or, you know, source to make me happy from the outside. What I do have actually defined that for me. So if you do realize what your expectations are, then it becomes very easy for you to be fulfilled. Yeah. So personally, for me, for example, it was so easy for me to quit being a doctor to become a farmer and concentrate on the farm, because I realized that what matters is the moment that I was living in. Yeah. What mattered was not the expectation of society, what my father or parents think, or what society thinks. What matters to me was the fact that, you know, I was going to be living this life and I would get this contentment from farming. Yeah, so it was so easy for me to snap and be like, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to actually go and choose and live, you know, the farm life where I'm chasing business in reality. Because for me, that gives me way more satisfaction. That gives me way more contentment. I don't care about anything else. And because of that, I become happy. Yeah, I'm fulfilled. I feel financially free. Even if I hadn't gotten the farm to such a big extent. Currently, I do have about 14,500 birds. Initially, my goal was only 4,000 birds, guys. 4,000. If only I had remained at 4,000 birds, I would still be fulfilled. I would still be happy. Yeah, I would still feel like I have financial freedom because I had set my expectations and I was meeting my expectations. Yeah. So that's very critical. It's very, very important for you to realize that understanding the value of your wants and the level of your wants and how your wants actually influence success is very, very important. Yeah. Once you do that, then point number 1, which is actually making more money, becomes much easier. It's easier for you to work with a sense of direction. You know where you're going, you know where you're coming from, you know what you're working towards, and you'll more likely get financially fulfilled if you're coming from an angle of you know your wants than if you're just chasing everything and you don't really know what you want and you think the next big thing will make you happy and the other big thing will make you happy. You're less likely to find financial freedom and fulfillment that way. Now, the other part, which is the first part, is making more money. Now, when it does come to making more money, the only thing that really matters is upping your skills. Build your skills. When you do build your skills are going to give you the leverage to do one of 2 things, yeah, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. But the key thing to all these things, it doesn't matter what you're going to be doing, is building your skills. Skills are what are going to make you money. People are going to pay you for your skills. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter who it is. Yeah, I mean, money is a representation of value. I think you do understand that. Yeah, if, for example, someone goes to buy a house and the house is sold at $1 million and then there's another house sold at $100,000. I mean, if someone is paying $1 million, it is because they value that house at much higher than the initial house. Yeah, it's very easy for you to go, for example, to 2 different neighborhoods, and in those 2 different neighborhoods, you'll find the same exact house, like built using the same exact materials, same shape, looks exactly the same way. And in one neighborhood, it will cost like $50,000, and in a different neighborhood, it will cost $200,000. Same exact house. Why? Because the value of that house in a neighborhood is different from the value of that house in another neighborhood. And so if someone is paying $200,000, it's because of value. Money represents value. Yeah, that's something you should never forget. So if you're going to be exchanging money, or you want to make money, you want to become wealthy, you want to become financially free by having more money, it means that you need to build your value. Yeah, and the way you build your value is by building up your skills, because someone who is going to give you money is going to give you money in exchange for the value you're going to offer them in one way or another. Yeah, so that is the key and the most critical thing. That's why we go to school. That's why we go to school to get trained. I mean, in the end, the current academic system has completely gone haywire. I believe it's really, really off, but the fundamentals, the goal for it is still true. Yeah, the goal in it is to ensure that the value of the human being, the child, the person, is built up to be high enough that wherever they go, someone will offer them money for the skill that they do have. Yeah, so that's going to be the fundamental thing for you. Now, after you have built up your value, then you're going to utilize your value for one of two main things: either to start a business or run a business. You're going to offer that value of yours to start or run a business that people are going to pay you for, or you're going to utilize your skills to negotiate a higher pay for someone to pay for your skills. It's one of those two things. Yeah, so you're going to either utilize those skills to build a business. For example, personally, I built skills that ensure that I can start and run a successful poultry business. I mean, I started my poultry farm in 2019 with 750 birds. Currently, 2026, I have 14,500 birds. In fact, in like the next 1 week or 2 weeks, I'm going to bring in 2,500 birds. So it's going to be a total of 17,000 birds. That's like a 20x increase. In fact, more than 20 times increase in less than 7 years. Yeah, or maybe in 7 years. Yeah, that's a lot of growth. And how did I manage to grow to that point? It's because I built myself the skills. Yeah, I learned. I understood how to start a farm, how to run a farm, how to feed the birds, how to manage and train the staff, how to build the poultry houses, how to do reporting. All these things that are required for me to actually be able to start and grow and establish a poultry farm, I have been able to do. So that's why I've been able to grow this quickly. It's because of the skills. Yeah. Now there's people outside there who don't have skills on how to start and build a poultry farm. They focus more on the actual day-to-day activities and not understanding that the skills are actually what's going to differentiate them from everyone else. Yeah. So when they don't focus on that, they just find themselves in like a vicious cycle where they're just consistently going round and round and round. Like they fail, then they lose motivation, then they go back and they're like, what the hell do I do? Then they come back and restart it and fail. And so now they think the business is the problem. And the problem is them. They didn't get the skills that are necessary for them to be able to start the farm or whatsoever else that they want to be starting. Yeah. So meanwhile, if you do want to start a farm and you want to grow a farm and make loads of money, I've started the Farm Up Academy, where I train and teach people all over the world on how to start and build successful poultry farms. I have hundreds of people inside there currently, yeah, that have actually started and they're growing their farms, and their farms are doing really, really well, yeah, because of the skills that I personally learned. And so it's like giving you a shortcut towards that growth of the farm. If that is you and that's what you would want, I'll leave a link in the description of this video, because I mean, poultry farming is one of those things that you can do that can actually make you money, and it's one of those things that I'm personally an expert at, so I can certainly help you. So link in the description, you can apply, and then we'll see if you're fit, and then we can go ahead from there. Yeah, so that is the first thing. Yeah, utilize your skills. I mean, there are different skills when it does come to starting a farm or starting a business and making money. Yeah, there are different kinds of skills are going to be needed. Sometimes it's not only you who is going to need the skills. Sometimes it might be like partners, maybe 2 or 3 different people who come together to start the business. Yeah, and one person offers the management skills in terms of like managing the staff, and then the other one offers them the more technical knowledge skills in terms of like the actual day-to-day activities involved in running the business. Different people might offer or bring their skill sets together for you to start a business. So maybe you don't need to get all the skills for the business. Maybe you only need to get a particular subset of skills, then come together with another person who has another subset, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people, depending on the kind of business that you want to start. And once you do that, then it makes it really easy for you to start. So there are different kinds of businesses. You can start a business that offers products, like actual products, like me, like a farm. Yeah, you can do a business that offers services. For example, in the past or even right now, people do businesses where you can build a website for someone. Now that's a skill. Yeah, understanding how to build and set up a website is a great skill that you can now utilize, or you could utilize to build a website for someone, and then they'll offer you money for it, yeah, because you have the skill. Now, unfortunately, or we'll say fortunately, right now with AI coming up, a lot of those so-called skills that people had are going to go to, you know, they're going to become a bit less valid, because right now you can utilize AI to build for you a beautiful website. But now your skill or your ability to utilize AI to do things for you is another skill that you can leverage. Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of skills that you can utilize to start a business. So you can either, you know, do the business as a big business, like a full-time business like I do, or you can do like consultation. That's still some form of business, yeah? Because what you're doing is that you're offering trainings. So you do consultations where people come to you, or freelancing. In the end, it's just a small type of business, but utilize your skill in that way. Now, the opposite way that you could utilize that skill is you leverage your skill to negotiate for a higher pay in someone else's business, yeah? So maybe you want to utilize your skill to work for Twitter, or to work for my farm, again, for example, yeah? So you're a very good farm manager, you really understand how to do things. Now, I personally don't spend all my time at the farm. I actually spend quite an amount of time away from the farm. Like, I could go away from the farm for 2 weeks, 1 month, or even longer, based on what I'm doing, yeah? Now, whilst I'm away, I need someone else to be able to do for me that work, yeah? Now, if you're very skilled and you know how to run and manage a farm in my absentia, I will hire you and I will pay you, yeah? Now, I will not hire someone who is not skilled, because they run my business into the ground. So the more skilled someone is, the more likely it is that I will offer them the job. And then, depending on the kind of job that it is, for example, farm manager is quite easy to train. So it's not the kind of thing that might require too much money, or that someone might ask for too much money from. Someone is not going to come and ask me for $1 million, I mean, to run a farm. There's no, I'm going to pay that, yeah? But you can ask for $1 million based on the level of skill that you have. For example, if your skill ensures that you can run an airline so well that it is profitable and it makes like loads of profits each and every year, then that's a skill that's worth $1 million. Because airlines naturally, or I wouldn't say naturally, but most airlines in the world are losing money. I mean, they are not profitable. So if you're skillful enough to run an airline and make it profits in the millions of dollars every year, then you're probably worth $1 million in terms of salary. Yeah, so you can negotiate for a higher pay because you have a better skill. Yeah, so now that's where you understand that skills are super important. Yeah, the only thing you actually need to focus on is your skills. Yeah, once you're focused on your skills, then you leverage your skills to work towards the direction that you want, to meet your expectations, to meet your wants. Yeah, in the end, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Even if you make $100 million every year, even if you make $1 billion every year, like Elon Musk, if your expectations, if your wants are completely off, if there's a big disparity, even if you're making like $2 billion every year, if your source of happiness will only be if you make $10 billion a year, you won't be happy and you won't feel financially free. Yeah, you'll have all this money, but you don't get the freedom that comes from you having money. You completely won't, yeah? Yet that's the goal. That's the goal for all of us. That is it. Yeah, and you need to realize that point. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another one. Loads of love. Bye-bye.